That's my sweetie.
All right. My fellow Americans, and of course, distinguished guests. All right. So I hope everyone's having a good time. I hope everyone's having fun.
Yeah.
But in addition to having a good time, to drinking, to making friends, to talking to people, we're here to think about America, right? This country we're from. Now I know right now, a lot of the time, you know, you look around, maybe you're nervous about what's happening in this election. Maybe you've heard, you know, some bad things about our history that make it hard for you to love this country. And you're wondering, like, how do I love this country that made mistakes? Well, I say to you, to remember first, any mistake that this country's made, that there was a large group of patriots who said that this was wrong, whether it was a recent war or long past. Thoreau told us that the Mexican-American War was so bad that we couldn't pay, that a patriot could not pay their taxes, that a patriot should thwart their government at every turn. And he was an American, and that came from his love for his country. So even if you feel, you know, that there's something difficult going on, the reason you think that still has to do with your roots in this country. You think people have equal rights. You think that people deserve democracy. That's because you're American. The beliefs you have, the problems you have, they're because you're American. Your ideas come from somewhere. And what I want you guys to think about is that you have a reason to be proud. Because in addition to those mistakes, there are great achievements that this country's made. And not just great achievements in action, but also in thought. You know, this country, this was the first time people thought that everyone in the country should have a right to say what the government should do. They were not just had the right, but the entitlement that nobody could take your God-given right to say this is who I want to be president, that this is the rights that people deserve, that this is how taxes should be levied, that this is how land should be distributed.
Free the land.
Free the land, yes, thank you. And you value these things because you're American. Now, maybe sometimes you look at other people who claim patriotism and maybe you have some problem with them. Maybe you don't like them. Maybe you don't like their ideas. But just remember that nobody owns patriotism for themselves. Nobody owns this country for themselves. It is given to the people. You have the right, and not just the right but the entitlement, the birthright to your history, to your culture, and to your traditions. It is your inheritance. And just as if you inherit some money from a passed away family member, they can't tell you how to spend it. In the same way, when you inherit the traditions and the values of this country, no one can tell you what the right way to interpret it besides yourself. That comes from within. If you look at this country and you think some people aren't given the rights that they were promised by the Constitution or by the Founding Fathers or by the President, remember that you have the right to make your appeal to heaven. That you can say that these rights were given to them, and that out of your love of country, that you want something better for the people around you. You might have heard it said that patriotism gets in the way of your love of the people around you, of the love of people in different countries. But I say to you, to love America is to love your neighbors and to love yourself. Because that is because these American ideas, they're within you. Whether or not you feel patriotic, you know, whether you've talked about patriotism, whether you've felt this in the past, the values you have, the political values you have, they come from this country. So I just want you guys to remember that this isn't a left or right thing, conservative, progressive, Christian or atheist or Muslim. This is about atheist, Jewish. This is about loving who you are and loving where you come from. Now, there's a lot of work to do in this country, and I won't deny that. But I just want you to remember this, that there is something to be proud of here. That even when you work to make things better, even when you call for change, you're appealing to the values that have been in this country, in your communities, for many generations. Now, so the thing to remember, do not despair of the future. You know, there are hard times coming, I won't deny it.
Yeah.
But remember, in the words of Abraham Lincoln, that he asked us, from whence shall come the approach's danger? Shall some transatlantic giant step the earth and crush us at a blow? And he says, never. Not in the trial of 1,000 years could the armies of Europe and Asia and Africa together, with a Napoleon for their commander, could not take a drink from the Ohio River or step a track on the Blue Ridge in a trial of 1,000 years. If destruction be our lot, we ourselves shall be its author and finisher. As a nation of free people, we will live forever or die by suicide. Now, there's one, and we know that the greatest protection, from despair is love, right? The one who loves his life never has to fear suicide. The one who loves their country, as long as we love this country, nothing can beat us. This is the best country in the world. Don't forget that.
Yeah.
You must receive what your ancestors have gave you. And I don't mean just genetic ancestors, but the ancestors of your ideas. The ones who gave you your belief in freedom, your belief in democracy, your belief in equality. They're your ancestors too. And you must receive what they give you and make it better. Realize that dream better for the next generation. And you must give it to them. Whether it's your children or your students or just your friends. Love them by loving your country and fight for them. And that is the best way to be a patriot and to be an American. Thank you.
Yeah.